What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. Before we start, the Legend of Zelda Hyrule Edition 2DS XL drawing did end. We chose a winner. I did email them, so I'm waiting to get an answer back. So check your email boxes, your inboxes and everything. I'm picking up today, so I'd like to get that shipped out today if possible, and I will announce it tomorrow in Newswave as long as you get back to me. If you don't get back to me by tomorrow morning, I'll just have to repick another person and then get that email out. Either way, I want to have it shipped out in the next day or two and get that all done. So now we're moving on to 130,000 subs, and the question is, what would the next giveaway be? Well, I thought, hey, if you didn't get an NES Classic last year, how about we give away one this year when they just released it again on the 29th? So yes, this is the next giveaway, a nice NES Classic, brand new NES Classic that I picked up on Friday as well, and we'll give that away at 130,000 subscribers. 120 came up pretty quick, faster than I thought, but it coincided very well with the release day of the 2DS XL, so I'm very happy with that, and we'll be giving that away. Like I said, hopefully I can get that shipped out either today or tomorrow and get that announcement to you guys. Now let's get into some of the quick news before we start with some of the big stuff. A new Def Jam game appears to at least be hinted at right now, and this was on their Twitter handle where they said, hypothetically, who would you want on the cover of this game if we decided to revive it? And that, of course, looks like Def Jam Vendetta, or just the Def Jam series, where it was basically a fighting game series. It's like an arena fighter almost. It was really fun. It was basically a fighting game where you took your created character. I played Fight for New York a lot, and you ran around and beat up a bunch of rappers, and it was actually really fun. You would create your character, you'd add stat points, and you would fight and then get more stat points, build your guy up, and then go after the big boss at the end. It was actually a lot more fun than some people might have realized. In fact, Fight for New York on the Xbox, which is where I played it, it's actually kind of hard to get along with the PS2 version now. It's crazy that physically they're actually kind of expensive. Now, Def Jam Icon that came out in 2007, I did not pick up, and it looks like I actually dodged a bullet there, as it did not do well, was not well received. But man, if they did something like a Fight for New York, brought it back on like the Xbox One, PS4, PC, Switch, whatever, that would be awesome. I'd be all over that, as long as it's not like Icon and it's like Fight for New York. Because I still think Fight for New York is by far the best Def Jam game. Let me know if you guys want something along the lines of a new Def Jam, like a new Fight for New York, or maybe you liked Icons, or maybe you're more into Vendetta. Either way, they're asking, and it's not, I guess, common to just ask something like that out of the blue. I almost feel like they're planning something here. Also, Mario Tennis looks to be getting 3 new characters later on this fall. The 3 characters currently revealed that should be showing up sometime later on this year include Diddy Kong, Birdo, and Koopa Paratroopa. And there's no real word on how they'll be unlocked or added, or even which day they're coming out, just sometime this fall. And what we saw recently was Koopa was an unlockable character as long as you played 1 match online. Now, I don't think they're all going to be that easy to unlock. Maybe you need to get so many points, or you need to win so many matches. They should make, I know some people might not want to hear this, but they should make at least a few of these semi-difficult to unlock. Maybe win like 5 games online and then it unlocks, you know, or maybe win 3 in a row or something and then this one unlocks. I feel like there should be some sort of accomplishment there, and I don't really think the window should ever close. I think you just have to work towards it. Like, I don't think they should ever just take away the ability to unlock Diddy Kong. Like, you gotta win 3 in a row. Well, you can just keep going, you know, over the course of the game's life to unlock them. I like the idea of them adding characters, but they have to keep it up. And honestly, how many characters can they really add? I guess we'll find out. I mean, they have a lot of characters they can pull from, but eventually they'll probably run out, and then what do they do? Maybe new courts? I don't know. Also, if you missed it, an Ys game that was originally stuck on the Vita is now coming to Steam on the PC, and that's actually coming up a little sooner than you might think. This is called Ys Memories of Celceta, and that one is actually releasing on Steam, Good Old Games, Humble Store on July 25th, and it's going to be $24.99. This is, like I said, one that was kind of stuck for a while on Vita. It's going to support better visuals, widescreen support, HD textures and everything, and it's just going to be another addition to the Ys library on Steam. So if you're a big Ys fan, look forward to this one at the end of July, so end of this month, a couple weeks from now, you'll be able to pick it up. It's pretty cool to see an Ys game like this finally get off the Vita and make its way to the PC, where people seem to really be embracing the Ys series. With that quick news out of the way, guys, let's get into some of the bigger stuff. Let's start today with Octopath Traveler. It's a game that's coming up pretty quick now. It's a couple weeks from now it'll be out, and I'm excited for it. I'm sure a lot of people are, mostly if you're an older 90s RPG style fan, like maybe you liked the older Final Fantasies, even if it was kind of on the PS1, or maybe like Breath of Fire, right? There's a lot of games you could pick from back in the day that this is obviously targeting. Some people even said things like Chrono Trigger. Sure, I could see that, but it's obvious that this takes a lot of inspiration from the Bravely Default series, and what's cool right now is we have that demo, so we've played the game actually quite a bit before release, and now we have some initial impressions. Basically, these are reviews without the score almost. I was trying to read through them because they're all in Japanese. The one that people really pointed out first was from 4Gamer, and then several other ones started to emerge as well. And after trying to translate and read through them, it seems like it's a fairly positive review, or even I guess preview, if you will. And they talk mostly about how, yes, if you were a fan of the 90s style games, they say, you know, the older Final Fantasy, stuff like that, you're going to like this game. And the thing about that is that we really don't need as much of a preview now. I know people are really looking for review scores. People are already doing, you know, Metacritic bets or guesses at this point, trying to figure out what the score is going to be. And it's going to be interesting because this is a JRPG. JRPGs don't generally score super high. Persona was kind of an outlier, to be honest with that. Most games don't do that well when it comes to JRPG genre in the mainstream review scores. But here comes a game that I think is going to tug on the nostalgia strings for a lot of people who are a little older and remember the 16-bit, the 32-bit, maybe even a little bit of 8-bit, but mostly the 16 and 32-bit era, and it's going to be great. But yeah, so far, most of the previews I've seen, no one's really had anything overly negative to say about it, and they all say it's a long game, it seems to be worth the money overall, and it's for people like me who like these older games. So I'm already in this game, right? I'm already buying it and getting it and everything. Maybe we'll try to get an early copy to do a review for here. So stay tuned, we'll see what we get here. Oh, and if you want to check out the 4Gamer review for yourself, I'll leave a link in the description. It's all in Japanese, so you can try to use Google Translate, but hey, maybe you read Japanese and you can give us an idea in the comments as to what it says. Next up, let's talk about Shintaro Furukawa, who is now the new Nintendo president. We talked about how he took over for Kimishima now, and he's in charge, and he was already asked a question that has people talking now, especially over the weekend starting Friday, Saturday, Sunday. People have been really talking about this quote from him where he was asked about the 3DS and a possible successor, and this is what he had to say. Though it's been around much longer, the 3DS has certain advantages over the Switch, such as ease of purchase and the like. Furukawa also commented on a possible successor, saying that Nintendo is considering various possibilities. However, the statement alone doesn't make it clear how serious the company is when it comes to exploring a new dedicated portable device that follows in 3DS's footsteps. So if you saw a lot of people talking about a new 3DS system coming out, something like a 4DS or something, I don't think Nintendo is looking into it in that way. What he says here is specifically about the price point of the 3DS, and that's obvious, right? If you want to go buy a system that will play a vast majority of the 3DS games, I'm not going to say all of them because there are some that are specific to the new 3DS and the new 2DS, right? The new 2DS XL. You can go buy just a regular 2DS and you can get a vast majority of those 3DS games, and the system's $80 and it comes with Mario Kart 7. It's a lot easier to buy that for $80 rather than buy a Switch for $300. So you kind of get the idea of what he's talking about here. Even the new 3DS XL is still $200, or the 2DS XL is $150, and that actually comes with a charger and SD card. So yes, much easier to buy these, especially if you have a family that has 3 kids and you're Christmas shopping. 3 $80 systems, way easier to figure out than 3 $300 systems, right? So what he's basically saying here is they need to consider possibilities of providing different SKUs for the Switch. They need to make sure that they can provide cheaper options. So could we see a cheaper Switch system? Yeah, probably. We've already seen some where they've pulled a bunch of stuff out of it, right? The dock, the charger, basically everything they could take away from it in Japan. And they got it down to like $230, right? $225, $230. So they're working on it, but how are they going to get this system down to what the 2DS is right now at $80? Although, back when the 3DS first launched and you told me, hey, this $250 system, which they had to drop it down already to like $180, is going to be $80 in like 3 or 4 years, I'd have laughed. I'm like, there's no way I'm going to be able to buy a system that's going to play these games for $80. And they did. So, hey, maybe Nintendo can figure it out, but I'm trying to figure out what else they can rip out of the Switch or redesign it to make it cheaper, because they had no problem taking the core like the core, I guess, gimmick functionality out of the 3DS, which was the 3D. They took it out, and that way they can make it cheaper. So, hey, you never know what they could do. Seized on Joy-Cons, where there's no Joy-Cons that are removable to make it cheaper. Maybe. I mean, the Joy-Con controllers are some of the most expensive part of that system that comes with it. So, it's possible, but we'll see. I wouldn't expect the new 3DS system to come out. If anything, they would make the Switch their handheld and work on something else after that, because the Switch is a very powerful handheld. I don't think they can make a more powerful 3DS than what they have currently with the Switch, so I don't know what the point is. Next up, let's talk about a little piece of history, and that is the original Xbox's prototype. Now, originally back in 2000, Bill Gates showed at GDC a very, very odd-looking system. In fact, there was a point in time where we kind of thought that's what the Xbox was going to look like, and you might be wondering what I'm talking about. This is what the original prototype looked like, and you're seeing this now. And the reason you could see this so well lit and like a great picture of it, that's because it was taken very recently, because the original Xbox prototype from Bill Gates' GDC 2000 keynote is now on display at the new Microsoft Visitor Center. That is absolutely insane. Graham Boyd actually posted this over on his Twitter account. He's the Xbox social media marketing manager right now. And man, how awesome is that to see? Apparently, that prototype cost $18,000 to manufacture, and that is from Eurogamer. They noted that. And that's because it was completely created and milled from a solid block of aluminum. How insane is that? That is definitely a Microsoft move to do, to show up with something like that, the GDC, to show how powerful the Xbox is, you know? Just make it out of a solid block of aluminum, and it's a big X. Obviously, they changed it up. They made it out of plastic, obviously, but they changed the look up and everything. But it definitely, when that showed up at GDC 2000, heads turned, and it's so cool that this is part of their visitor center now, and it's just something I guess people can just go see if they want. It's just on display, and that's something I would want to go and check that out. So I guess if you're ever over in their visitor center in Redmond, Washington, you too can walk in and get a picture of what is very rare, I assume, and one of very few Xbox prototypes. I would just want to try to pick it up and just see how heavy it is, but I feel like then I'd probably be in a lot of trouble. And our last bit of news, let's talk about a slight issue with the NES Classic. If you went out to pick one up, as we were talking about it a lot here, a lot of you guys sent me tweets, by the way, saying that you were able to get one, and it was because I kept reminding you. That was for a reason, so you guys could get it, because I know it was really tough back then to get one last year. Trust me, I went through it myself. I had to overpay on Craigslist to get it so we could check it out here. But one of the issues right now is finding a controller for this thing. Even though I was able to get the system fairly easily, I walked right into Target, picked it up, and I was out. No controllers. Like, they didn't have any of the first-party controllers. That is a big issue right now. In fact, I myself am looking for controllers to just pick up and have, but I'm also starting to look more and more into the third-party kind of department for some of these controllers. I've already picked up 2 that I'm going to try to review, and then there's one more that I want to get and make one big video so we can check them all out, and that is from 8BitDo. In fact, they're introducing a new controller that is going to solve a lot of the issues that their old one had, and it's going to be much more compatible with the NES Classic. It's actually not coming out to August 20th, so you have some time. You can pre-order. There's an Amazon link that I'll leave for you guys down below. It helps the channel if you want to go check it out. It is going to be $24.99, and here's a picture of it. You might notice something right away. It has a home button. That's right, it has a home button that works correctly with the NES Classic. That is a big deal, right? Obviously, we didn't have that before. You had to do button combinations, and then you had to go up and press it and everything. There were some weird things you had to do to make it work. A dedicated home button, and then you have, of course, multiple buttons on the right. This is a big deal for that one reason alone, the home button. And I like that they are continuing to work with this. When you order it for the $25, it comes with a receiver that you plug in, and it should give you a good signal up to, I would say, about 30 feet. So you should be pretty good overall. But man, I like that 8BitDo is working on this. Their quality is solid. Their Super Nintendo controller that I have is really good. Remember, I made one into an arcade stick. I kept another one. It feels almost exactly like the original, and I like it a lot. So I'm looking forward to this. I'm trying to get a hold of them so I can get one from them so we can check it out here ahead of time so you guys can kind of know what you're getting into. But I've had good experience with the 8BitDo, so I do trust them, but this looks great. So I'm going to keep an eye on that, because right now, man, it's so hard to find one of these first-party controllers. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for our Newswave today. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, guys. Really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave a bunch of comments down below about everything we talked about today, whether it is the 3DS Successor. Do you think they're more than likely talking about that bottom price point where they have that $80 price point with the 2DS, and it sells well, right? I mean, that's one of the things I think is really working well for them is that $80 price point, whereas the $300 price point can be a little more intimidating. Price is a pretty big deal in the market, and that is one of the reasons people buy some of these systems, even if they're not as powerful. Like the 2DS doesn't have 3D, right? Doesn't fold closed, but it's $80. Oh, and it comes with Mario Kart 7. This is great. I get why they're worried about letting go of the 3DS and only having a $300 price point. That could be an issue, and that's something they'll have to work out. And I think that's what they're talking about here. Also, what about the 8-bit Do controller for NES Classic? Is that something you're now looking at? Because, well, they have good quality, and it has that home button, which is great. I'm really curious what your thoughts are on that. And then Octopath Traveler, it's out soon. I think people all over are going to go crazy for it, and I hope it really does well, because I want to see Square continue to tackle more games that kind of speak to the younger me, the 90s me, who really liked the older Final Fantasies. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.